The events depicted in this story are as follows. The Age of the Empire is the overall event containing two secondary events, the dissolution of the Imperial Senate and the Galactic Civil War, which contains 5 events, the secret mission to Tatooine, the disaster, the rescue of Princess Leia, the Battle of Yavin, and the Royal Awards Ceremony. Other events are also mentioned as having happened in the past, so let's begin our lesson. The Age of the Empire is the major overarching event in the story, containing the dissolution of the Imperial Senate and Galactic Civil War. The Galactic Empire is ruled over by the Emperor with high-ranking officials including Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader. The Empire has been around for an unknown number of years, yet we know it replaced a government known as the Old Republic. They destroyed an organization known as the Jedi, leaving very few survivors. The Empire had just completed a secret project, that being a massive battle station called the Death Star commanded by Grand Moff Tarkin, who died when the Death Star was destroyed by the rebels. The rebels were opposing the Emperor's rule for many years, and wished for the Old Republic to return. The Galactic Civil War was the major conflict that encompassed the galaxy, fought between the reigning Galactic Empire and the small rebel alliance who were fighting to restore the Old Republic. We know of 6 events that occurred in the war so far: the battle where the rebels captured the Death Star plans, the secret mission to Tatooine, the disaster, the rescue of Princess Leia, the Battle of Yavin, and the Royal Awards Ceremony. It is unknown when the war began, but judging by how the Imperials talk about the rebels, it doesn't seem like it's been long. The dissolution of the Imperial Senate occurred in the year 0 BBY and was the event in which the Emperor of the Galactic Empire dissolved the Senate in an attempt to erase the last remnants of the Old Republic. The resulting outcome had the regional governors gaining direct control over their respective territories, with any resistance hoping to be quelled by the Death Star, leaving the galaxy to live in fear. The secret mission to Tatooine occurred in the year 0 BBY during the Galactic Civil War on the planet Tatooine. The rebels during the mission were led by Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan, Captain Remus Antilles, and Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Imperial forces were led by Darth Vader and Commander Jir. The goal of the mission was to recruit Obi-Wan Kenobi into the Rebel Alliance and keep the Death Star plans out of Imperial hands. The Rebels' strength consisted of some Alderaanian consular security, an astromech droid, 2 protocol droids, 1 CR-90 Corvette, a Jedi Master and Learner, and 2 smugglers. The Imperial strength consisted of multiple officers, stormtroopers, and dewbacks, an IMG-099 Imperial Mark IV patrol droid, an Imperial informant, multiple Imperial-class Star Destroyers, and 1 Sentinel-class landing craft. As far as we know, the conflict began above Tatooine between Leia and Antilles' ship, the Tantive 4, and Darth Vader's ship, Devastator. The Tantive 4 was boarded by Imperial troops. Organa was captured, but before she was taken prisoner, she gave the plans to the astromech droid R2-D2, who, along with his protocol droid companion C-3PO, escaped to Tatooine aboard an escape pod. R2-D2's mission was to find Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, for whom the droid had a holographic message from the princess. Once on the surface, the 2 droids came into possession of a group of Jawa scavengers, before being sold to moisture farmer Owen Lars and his nephew Luke Skywalker. The Empire, meanwhile, learned that the droids were likely in possession of the stolen plans and searched the planet for them. R2 fled from the Lars moisture farm in search of Kenobi. The message, which R2 delivered to Kenobi with Skywalker's assistance, was the princess's plea for help, asking that the Jedi Master safely deliver the plans to her father on Alderaan. The Empire learned that the droids had been sold to the Lars family, and they killed Owen and his wife Beru Lars once the Imperial forces made it to the farm. His family having been killed, Skywalker agreed to leave with Kenobi and take the droids to Alderaan. They hired a pilot, Han Solo and Mos Eisley, and Solo agreed to take them to Alderaan aboard his ship, the Millennium Falcon. The arrangement was discovered by Imperial troops, who attacked the ship before it departed. The Millennium Falcon blasted its way out of the Mos Eisley spaceport and evaded Star Destroyers in orbit by jumping to hyperspace. Casualties of the conflict include many rebel troopers, including Remus Antilles and the Tantive 4 for the rebels, several stormtroopers for the Empire, with civilian casualties including Owen and Beru Lars, many Jawas, and the bounty hunter Greedo. The disaster, otherwise known as the destruction of Alderaan, was the name given to the destruction of the planet Alderaan at the hands of the Galactic Empire during the Galactic Civil War. Before the disaster, the Rebel Alliance stole the plans for the Death Star, the Empire's deep space mobile battle station. Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan was captured during an Imperial attempt to intercept the plans, and she was brought aboard the Death Star following her capture aboard the Tantive 4 above the desert world of Tatooine. Once aboard, the young princess was tortured in the hopes that the Empire could extract the location of the rebel base from her. Organa refused, and the station's commander, Grand Moff Tarkin, governor of the Outer Rim territories, threatened to use the Death Star to destroy Alderaan if she did not comply. Organa provided a false location, and although Tarkin believed her, he destroyed Alderaan and the billions of people living there to demonstrate the station's power to the galaxy. The destruction of Alderaan sent a disturbance through the Force. The rescue of Princess Leia was a mission to rescue Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan during the Galactic Civil War. The rebel forces were led by Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia Organa, and Captain Han Solo, while the Imperial forces were led by Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, Lieutenant Tridum, and Captain Edmos Kurgi. The rebels' strength consisted of Jedi Master and Learner, a Wookiee smuggler, an astromech droid, a protocol droid, and the Millennium Falcon, while the Empire's strength consisted of numerous stormtroopers and many TIE LN space superiority starfighters. The rescue followed a battle on Tatooine, after which the Millennium Falcon made its way to Alderaan so Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, and R2-D2 could deliver the Death Star plans to the Rebel Alliance. En route to Alderaan, however, the Galactic Empire destroyed the planet. The Millennium Falcon was captured by the Death Star while on the remains of Alderaan, leading the ship's crew, Han Solo and Chewbacca, to hide with their passengers. In order to escape, Solo and Skywalker posed as stormtroopers, allowing the group to make their way to a hiding place within the Death Star. After Kenobi left the group to shut down the station's tractor beam, R2-D2 discovered that Princess Leia Organa of Alderaan, who had provided the droid with the Death Star plans, was aboard the station, being held within detention block AA-23. The group decided to rescue the princess and made their way to the detention center. They rescued Organa and fought their way throughout the station and back to the Millennium Falcon, while Kenobi successfully disabled the tractor beam. Kenobi soon came face to face with Darth Vader, who had been his apprentice before falling to the dark side. The two faced off in one final lightsaber duel. Kenobi sacrificed himself to give Skywalker and the others a chance to escape. The Millennium Falcon was able to flee the station and was pursued by a group of TIE LN space superiority starfighters, which the crew managed to destroy. The Empire was tracking the Falcon, however, and followed it to Yavin 4. Casualties of the conflict include Obi-Wan Kenobi for the rebels, many stormtroopers, several Imperial officers, including Tridum and Sean Childson, and several TIE fighters for the Imperials. The Battle of Yavin was a major battle of the Galactic Civil War that led to the destruction of the Death Star and was one of the rebellion's first major victories, the first one being the capture of the Death Star plans. The commanders for the Empire were Grand Moff Tarkin, Darth Vader, Chief Admiral Motti, Colonel Yularen, and General Bast. The Alliance commanders were Princess Leia Organa, General Dodonna, General Willard, Commander Hudsol, Red Leader Garvin Drays, Captain Vander, Red 5 Luke Skywalker, and Captain Solo. The Imperial strength consisted of at least 8 TIE LN space superiority fighters, a TIE Advanced X-1, and the Death Star, while the Alliance's strength consisted of 30 Alliance starfighters, including Red Squadron, made up of 22 T-65B X-Wing starfighters, Gold Squadron, made up of 8 BTL-A4 Y-Wing assault starfighter bombers, and 1 YT-1300 light freighter. During a previous battle, Rebel spies managed to steal plans and design specifications for the Imperial battle station known as the Death Star and transmit them to Princess Leia. Imperial forces under the command of Darth Vader soon captured Princess Leia and the crew of the Tantive 4. Princess Leia was taken prisoner aboard the Death Star by Darth Vader. The princess soon was rescued from captivity by an unlikely alliance of the smuggler Han Solo, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, a young farm boy from Tatooine named Luke Skywalker, and a Wookiee named Chewbacca. The group, in possession of the Death Star plans, fled to the Rebel base on Yavin 4, closely pursued by the battle station. An analysis of the plans provided by Princess Leia identified a weakness in the battle station, a small thermal exhaust port leading to the main reactor, which would allow access to a point that could cause a chain reaction that would destroy the battle station. Rebel pilots were briefed by General Jan Dodonna on the plan. The Death Star's defenses were designed for a direct large-scale assault. By using small one-man fighters, the rebels would slip through the Death Star's main defenses, maneuver down a narrow trench leading to the exhaust port, and insert proton torpedoes through the exhaust port. With the Death Star approaching, Y-Wings from Gold Squadron and X-Wings from Red Squadron were dispatched to carry out the attack plan. A total of 30 ships were deployed in the assault on the Death Star, 8 Y-Wings as part of Gold Squadron and 22 X-Wings, some part of Red Squadron. The deployment of Imperial TIE fighters served to devastate the Rebel attackers, destroying them with far more speed and efficiency than the station's weapon emplacements had been able to. Sometime into the battle, Imperial officers aboard the Death Star identified the threat of the Rebels' attack strategy and attempted to warn their superiors of the danger. However, Grand Moff Tarkin ignored the warning and refused to evacuate. Meanwhile, Darth Vader himself decided to lead a squadron of TIE fighters to destroy the remaining Rebel fighters. The first attack run was performed by a trio of Y-Wings from Gold Squadron. Led by John Dutch Vander, the 3 Y-Wings were shot down by Darth Vader. A second trench run was performed by a trio of X-Wings from Red Squadron led by Garvin Dreis. Dreis was able to fire off a shot at the exhaust port, but his proton torpedoes missed their mark. Before being shot down by Darth Vader, Dreis ordered another attack run. Following the final command of Red Leader, Luke Skywalker led the final attempt with Wedge Antilles and his old friend Biggs Darklighter as wingmen. Rushing down the trench at full throttle, they found themselves being tailed by Darth Vader and his fighters. Vader personally damaged Antilles' fighter and destroyed Darklighter's X-Wing, but had difficulty destroying Skywalker. To Vader's surprise, one of his wingmen was shot down beside him. Han Solo, believed to have abandoned the rebels prior to the assault, unexpectedly returned to assist Skywalker in his most desperate moment. Momentarily distracted by the intervention, Vader's remaining wingman attempted to protect Vader but collided with his ship, both spiraling himself into the side of the trench and knocking Vader away from the Death Star, allowing Skywalker to fire the shot that destroyed the Death Star. Skywalker, Solo, and the surviving rebel fighters then returned back to Yavin 4. Casualties for the Empire include the Death Star and its entire complement of nearly 2 million people and equipment except Darth Vader, and at least 8 TIE fighters, while casualties for the Alliance include 20 X-Wings and 7 Y-Wings. The Royal Award Ceremony was a medal ceremony held in the Great Temple of Massassi on Yavin 4 the morning after the Battle of Yavin. The ceremony honored Luke Skywalker, the rebel pilot who fired the shot that destroyed the Death Star during the battle, as well as Han Solo and Chewbacca, who helped Skywalker during the battle. The ceremony played celebratory music, and at the cue of trumpets, Skywalker and Solo were presented with medals of bravery by Princess Leia Organa. A couple conflicts are mentioned but never seen. These include the battle where the Death Star plans were originally stolen by the Rebel Alliance. It is unknown what took place in this battle, where it was, or even what it's called. All we know is that the rebels stole the Death Star plans, and it was their first major victory against the Galactic Empire. The second conflict is the Clone Wars, a mysterious war which took place apparently before the Empire rose to power. All we really know for certain about this war is that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker's father were participants. This concludes the Star Wars history lesson. I hope you've enjoyed and found it informative. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment down below. Also, feel free to subscribe, as I will be making more of these later on. If any of you were confused as to why I didn't really give the information as it's currently known now, that's because I decided to do this as if the movie had just come out. Thank you all for watching, and remember,
the Force will be with you, always.